Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, best Halloween costume.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Best Halloween costume.
Do you want another one? Mark, you look like you want another one. You want more?
I always want another one. Do another one.
Best Halloween costume.
Ooh, a Karloff.
Best Halloween costume.
Okay, do it as Lon Chaney Jr.
Best Halloween costume.
Close enough.
Hello, I'm Lon Chaney Jr. Support the war effort.
Today we are talking Halloween costumes, and boy, is it exciting to have one of our favorite October guests back. You all know him and love him from our episode of Best Halloween Candy. Why are you already groaning?
No, that was
okay.
That was
That was the official cadence of sweetness.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, continue.
It's John Hodgman. Hi, Hodgman.
This guy doesn't even know when I'm saying aw.
Oh,
Kind of
I thought you were saying, ugh.
Look, we live in a different time because when we did Best Halloween Candy, we were together face to face.
We were.
Yeah,
in
a room full of
New
people.
York City.
Yeah.
that's right. With an audience.
With an odds. Yep.
Yeah,
But now, even though we can see each other's faces, it's easy to misinterpret
that's true.
my vocal expressions.
That is true. And I apologize.
No, it's fine. Just so you know, when I say "shut up, you little," that's me. That's me being as fond of you as possible. And I didn't think I could be fonder of either of you. It's so nice to be back. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Yes.
What are you guys' general, do you still dress up for Halloween? Do you find occasion to do it annually? What's your Halloween traditions as of now?
I'll go second.
Great.
I am very bad and have always been very bad at costumes from a young age. So any good costume I had growing up was 100% my mother's influence because she was way into it. And then I got to the point where it was like, hey, I got this jacket on, it says Sixers on it. I'm a basketball player. Please don't talk to me about costumes.
What were the costumes that your mom set you up with, Hal?
Oh, there's a picture of me as a little kid dressed as Superman holding up my toy shopping cart as if I'm in Superman the Motion Picture.
Right.
She dressed me up at a time before we knew Hulk Hogan was a despicable racist as Hulk Hogan, and then later
we could have
repurposed
guessed.
it.
We could have
guessed. All the clues were there from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I know. He was trying. He wanted to be caught. He wanted to be caught.
He did.
All criminals.
If we rewind and watch the movie again, we'll notice all those little Easter eggs. We'll see them.
Yeah, I don't need to see his Easter eggs ever again. You know.
We don't want that. R.I.P. Gawker.
But Gawker lives again.
That's right.
Back
It's
from
back.
the dead in a Halloween.
Gawker is zombie Gawker?
Zombie Gawker's back.
Yeah.
Gawker's back.
Oh my God.
It was to eat your brains.
I know. They shot Gawker dead on the street. Then the camera turned away and then panned back and it was gone.
Oh, that's always a problem.
That's always a problem at Halloween. It's Halloween.
Ooh, that special time of year when Gawkers arise. From
Now, you were very nice to be on the Judge John Hodgman podcast. We share a network called the Maximum Fun Network. And right after we recorded that one, we recorded our Halloween episode, or one of our upcoming Halloween episodes, where I revealed my Halloween song. Have you ever heard my Halloween song?
No. What is your Halloween song?
Pardon me. Me. My Halloween song is a song that I improv'd off the dome my freshman year of college when I was working the line at Claire's Cornucopia. That's a vegetarian restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut. Claire's Cornucopia. Guess what? It's on
I see what they did.
Corner of College Street and Chapel Street. No, College and Chapel. I was right. And I would be ladling soup, and to pass the time, I would make up little songs. And there's a little ditty that I call Halloween that I came up with. Me. Spooky day, spooky night, Halloween. Many spirits many frights. Halloween. I was accompanying myself on the hand slaps on the desk there. And they asked me to stop singing that song.
I like that song.
It's great.
I like to think, because you sang it while ladling soup, that the original version of that is you just slapping the surface of the soup and making it splash up like a Blue Man from Blue Man Group.
Yeah, I invented that bit. I ripped off.
I'm surprised there's a Weird Al version of the song.
New Haven, they got some lentil soup, and they said, well, let's instead of green, blue. I guess I got to give him that. Give him that.
Is there a Weird Al version of the song that is soup tureen instead of Halloween? Because that feels like it. That feels like it just lends itself naturally.
Oh, in case you
were you a costume guy?
This is the sound of genuine laughter. Genuine laughter.
Were you a Halloween costume guy, John?
Halloween in Brookline, Massachusetts, where I grew up, was very Halloween-y in the sense that it was exactly like in the movie Halloween, Halloween was set in Illinois and filmed in Pasadena, I think. Mm-hmm. Did you know that about the movie Halloween?
Yeah, I just assumed all movies set in Illinois are filmed in Pasadena.
I don't know whether it's Pasadena or Burbank or what, but you can go see the Halloween house.
Ooh, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And you may notice that in this town in Illinois, in Haddonfield, Illinois, which is where Halloween is set, sometimes you see some palm trees. And what you also see is a lot of fallen dead leaves, autumnal leaves on the ground, which were shipped in. I learned this from the Blank Check podcast, a podcast about movies that I enjoy. They trucked in, I think they painted leaves brown, and they had one massive store of brown leaves. Mm-hmm. And they would spread them out for a scene, and then they would collect them for the next scene. And when they shot at the other house, they would just spread them out again.
Brilliant. In areas that had no trees, none of these trees that those leaves would be on, I assume.
Right. They shot from the tree, arboreal level down. That was one of John Carpenter's tricks.
Sure.
But in Brookline, Massachusetts, that's what it was like. A leafy, in this case, dead leafy suburb. Mm-hmm. Foliage had fallen. Spooky day turned into spooky night. And you would go from door to door with your friends in the classic style. Now, I live in Brooklyn, New York now, and trick-or-treating in New York City it was never the same because you have apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would either go from apartment to apartment in your building, or more controversially to me, from store to store on the main drag of your neighborhood, like go to the Duane Reade.
You say more controversially for you, that was all I saw when I lived in Brooklyn was on Halloween.
Yeah.
I saw very few people going to apartment buildings and kids just pouring into, like you said, the Duane Reade or wherever.
Well, not the Duane Reade so much, but more of the moms and pop stores and the bodegas and the whatever, I mean, it's an understandable that it's a tradition, but to me, it is not Halloween the way I understand it. And it's, because for me, Halloween was an opportunity to look into at least the front hallways of neighbors and wonder if they were murderers. And where I lived in Brookline until I was about 15 was a subsection of Brookline called Chestnut Hill. And that had some pretty haunted houses in it. Like pretty and haunted, beautiful and well maintained. It's an affluent community. But the houses looked like scary haunted houses, just spiffed up.
Well, Chestnut Hill sounds like if you live in a town, like that's the area where the haunted houses are. Have you heard about the house on Chestnut Hill?
You heard about
it? Seems very much.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There is a Chestnut Hill in Philadelphia that similarly is appointed with older homes that even if they're well maintained, clearly house 1 to 10 ghosts apiece.
Yeah, they look like haunted houses.
Yeah.
So that was always exciting for me. And did I dress up? Of course I did.
Yeah. What was your favorite as a kid?
Well, the ones that I remember most distinctly are not my favorites. They were the traumatic ones.
Traumatic for you?
Yes. Traumatic for me. So first trauma was I wanted to be a wolfman's. And I got a kit, which mostly involved gluing cotton balls to my face with spirit gum.
Sure.
Which cotton balls would then be dyed with the coloring agent.
Yeah.
Spooky, sharp teeth, whatever. That's it.
Sure.
But I just look like I had orange cotton balls over my face. And it was very hard it was just really bad. It was a bad sitch. And I think that it was after that that I came up with what I consider to be a very inspired Halloween costume for a young person who doesn't like to move a lot. I was pretty sedentary. Mm-hmm. You know, I would just sit and, you know, read comic books and Athel Fugard plays. That was what I would do with my time. Walk around the neighborhood was not normal.
Sure.
Well, I was going to be the Blob.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
This was something that could not go wrong because my Blob costume was my green sleeping bag. And I just got into it. Head first. And then I climbed into a wagon, which was dragged around by my friend Jeremy Morrison, who dressed as, I'd convinced him to dress as a mad scientist who had invented the Blob. And this
legit.
This was, you know, Jeremy and I still know each other. Mm-hmm. But I think that this could have actually caused a real rift in our friendship because it was really a thankless position.
Position of mad scientist to drag his buddy.
Yeah, it's a concept that he has to explain because my whole gig was I get dragged around, I get a free wagon ride while writhing blob-like.
Yes. And
what I didn't anticipate was it was going to be 2,000 degrees in that sleeping bag real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask if that thing got hot pretty fast.
Right. But without that, and I must have been 13, maybe 12, something like that, mm-hmm. Blob. But without that one, I probably never would have come up with what I consider to be my most inspired Halloween costume.
Go on.
So this may come up in our conversation mm-hmm. about best Halloween costume. I have a bias towards more classically spooky, scary Halloween costumes. Your ghosts, your devils, your ghouls, what have you. Your mm-hmm. werewolves, mm-hmm. you know, that sort of thing. I like that. I was never into like dress like someone from the news or, you know, we're dressed like a certain cultural moment.
Yeah.
You mm-hmm. know, at Heath School, we had a big lice infestation among the 8th graders or something. Mm-hmm. And I think it was Greg went as a knit. You know, someone went as a louse and someone went as a knit. And I was like, I don't need this contemporary commentary. Just be a classic ghoul, a blob, a werewolf, whatever. But when I was in college, aforementioned Yale University, a mm-hmm. 4-year accredited university in Southern Connecticut.
Familiar.
I managed to find a costume that wed the truly spooky and unnerving, new but immediately classic scary character with a true cultural moment, because this was the early 90s, and I was mm-hmm. Hannibal Lecter. And specifically,
classic monster.
Yeah. And specifically, I was Hannibal Lecter in a straitjacket with that mask on, once again being wheeled around by someone else.
I was going to say,
were you on the dolly?
Yeah. I got a hand truck and I got all the things. And I said, Jonathan Colton, can you wheel me around this Halloween?
It was Colton that did it?
Colton did it. Colton wheeled me right into a party, right into a Halloween party.
Oh,
and
that's, you know what?
That was also, I mean, you know, thank God or whatever for Jonathan Colton, one of our dearest friends. He was very, very
amen.
Yeah.
I think Jeremy Morrison figured out this guy's just all about himself. I'm not going to deal with him anymore, but Colton stood by me.
Still doesn't know.
Still hasn't figured it out.
Still hasn't figured it out. No. I was going to ask about that because I think there are a couple of sort of sub questions to this topic that I wanted to talk about. And that is the first is classic or contemporary, mm-hmm. or I guess classic, not necessarily contemporary, but classic or of a moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Because sometimes a few years ago, even before Cobra Kai came out, some buddies of mine were doing a throwback and they all went as Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Skeletons.
Guys. Like how many Squid Game guys are you going to see this year at Halloween?
There are going to be so many green jumpsuits.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Did you see? I'm not doing green jumpsuit. I'm doing red jumpsuit with the With the
circle?
Triangle mask. Well, I don't like the triangles. The square mask or the circle mask.
Oh, you want the, of course, you're like, I got to go high status. Give me the square mask.
Yeah. I got to be the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that white slip-on vans have increased, their sales have increased since that show came out 7,800%.
Wow.
Specifically for Halloween, I think.
Right.
Which is fantastic.
Because of Squid Game? Is that what they wear in Squid Game? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what everyone wears in Squid Game.
I wasn't checking out their shoes. I'm not a weird perv like you. I was watching them, the characters.
I spent look, the shoes were the closest to the subtibs, and I'm subs, not dubs.
There we go.
So I kept noticing the shoes.
Whatever, Quentin Tarantino. Did you dress up a lot as a kid? You're into costumes, right?
What was your history? What was your best Halloween costume? Before we decide the best Halloween costume.
Sure. When I was a kid, I had a trunk at the foot of my bed, a wooden trunk that was permanently at the foot of my bed, not just for Halloween. That was my costume trunk. So I had a big trunk of costumes at the foot of my bed. And every year I would put something together out of that and then supplement it with other things. I think my favorite one was when I was 12. I had a
little Hugh Jackman here, the greatest showman, age 10 or whatever.
That's right.
Showbiz, Mr. Showbiz.
That's right, baby. I was ready. I knew my life before I lived it. Yeah. I had a gangster costume, like a 1930s gangster costume. And the piece I was most excited about, and the piece of that costume that I kept the longest, two pieces, a black fedora that I really loved, and spats. I was so excited that I got to wear white spats on my black shoes, and I felt very, very cool. So that costume was awesome. That was my favorite kid costume. As an adult, I also managed to put together once for a party I was very impressed with my Charlie Chaplin that I had put together.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. What do you guys consider to be the classic costumes? Is it the ones that is it the Universal monsters? Because those are of a moment.
Truly classic.
And that's,
classic.
And that's really from the birth of the 1930s was when the common mass-produced Halloween costume existed. Prior to that, they were homemade, expensive, time-consuming, but that really opened it up. And the company that did it, the Ben Cooper, who has made for now decades and decades those classic plastic mask and vinyl outfit costumes.
Which is insane.
They had the Disney.
Do they still make those?
Yeah, they had the Disney.
They don't still make the vinyl bibs.
No, not exactly that. But
that's what I want is like the mask and the bib that is a picture of the mask.
Yeah, that has the slit for mouth breathing and then two holes in the nose, none of which line up with anything a child breathes into or out of. And it's just contained. Do you remember several years ago when Martin Lawrence collapsed from exhaustion because he was running in like trash bags, like one of those suits that is meant to retain heat?
Oh,
that is what those costumes were for children. It retained heat.
Right.
You were sweaty by the end of the night, like super uncomfortable. But if it was cool, you were okay with it.
Look, I'm going to add this to one of the broad categories because you're absolutely right. Plastic mask. I just dropped a photo into the chat if you guys want to.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. Your C-3PO costume is a front-only C-3PO mask and a plastic bib that looks like it has pants.
Right.
And the bib has a picture of C-3PO on it.
That's the thing that would, even as a child, would so annoy me, which is like, I'm dressing up like the character. I want to be the character.
Yeah.
C-3PO is not walking around with a lobster bib that has a picture of himself on the front.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The only person who wears a picture of themselves on their shirt is George Thorogood, who when in concert wears a George Thorogood and the Destroyers t-shirt.
Well, Mark, he's bad to the bone.
That's true. He is bad to the bone.
He's bad. You think he seems that way because he just saw a ghost? A ghost?
Right. A ghost showed up. He was recording in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, and he saw a ghost.
Bad.
Yeah. There's a George Thorogood-sized hole in that recording studio from when he ran out.
Now, in terms of horrifying heat, I'm going to, in the mass-produced costume category, you have the Ben Coopers, right?
Yes.
I'm also going to add, as a quintessential Halloween costume, the full face rubber mask. The expensive full head rubber mask.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I loved those as a kid.
And they're always out of your reach as a child because they cost like $40 or 80.
Yeah.
Some amount of money that was like all of the money.
Yes.
Yeah. that might as well be $1 billion mask.
Yeah, exactly. The $1 billion masks. I always dreamed, and that's like, probably the most famous cultural example of that is the Richard Nixon mask because it was in Point Break and stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah. With all the presidents there.
Or I take it back. Probably the most famous full head rubber mask character from Star Trek, Captain Kirk.
Oh,
that's right.
They used him for the Michael Myers mask.
Exactly.
William Shatner mold.
That's right. They just bought
I loved
a William Shatner mask and painted it white.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks just like Shatner. Like I keep seeing the ads for Halloween Kills and I'm like, oh, Shatner's in this.
Even the hair.
When did he burn his face?
I think it was when he went to space.
That was re-entry.
He burned his face on re-entry.
He's 91 years old, isn't he? I had a mask, a full-size rubber mask of Admiral Akbar from Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
That I loved.
When did you
so
have
much.
this?
It would have been late 80s. 86, 87, 88.
Okay. Still youth times.
Still youth. This is 10, 11 years old. And I would put it on. And even then it was a struggle because it was full size and and it had no filling in it. So his Mon Calamari head would sort of flop from side to side.
Oh no.
But as I got older, I would
rubber mask makers.
Yeah, there's no, it should have some structure. His head, it's a solid head. It's probably a shell.
Right.
But I would cut a slit up the back as I got older so my head still fit in. And then eventually, because the mouth could articulate, it became a puppet. I would put my hand up there and he would become a puppet. And I got so much use out of that mask. That is like, I don't remember if I ever wore it for a Halloween or not. I just remember owning it and it being a prized possession that I don't think exists anymore. I think it's turned into powder by this point.
There was our friend, Dana Gould, the comedian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of masks turning to dust, that guy is gaga for all Planet of the Apes stuff.
Sure.
He's a big collector of props from the original movies. And he bought an original ape mask, one of the hero masks. I don't know whether it was Cornelius or it was a big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not one of the background apes, which were just, they were basically in Ben Cooper plastic.
With pictures of their character on their t-shirt.
Right,
just said Planet of the Apes on the front of their
shirt.
And he got it, came in the mail, and he's like, and I had to put it on. I don't remember what happened, but like he almost passed out because I was off-gassing so much noxious stuff. It's like I immediately felt like I was being poisoned, and I had to get it off my head as quickly as possible. All right, so rubber mask, Ben Cooper. I will say movie monsters, right? Which are all the Universals. And basically, there's a lot of Venn diagram overlap between classic ghouls and ghoulies and movie monsters, right?
Yes.
I'd say that. I like those.
Well, they were all those, when they made those movies, they just sort of codified what they looked like. They'd been novels forever at that point.
And they've all gotten the Ben Cooper treatment. Some of them glow in the dark, some of them sparkly. So they've appeared, but also those are costumes you can do with some cotton balls and
no, you can't.
And dye.
Trust me, you cannot. Don't do it.
I'm surprised it didn't just come with fake hair.
Well, but then there are the upscale, like the beyond the rubber mask. There is like the applied makeup and prosthetics and stuff, which I feel never, ever, ever, ever happened when I was growing up. No one in Brookline, Massachusetts was putting caps on their teeth to look like fangs or.
No.
Right.
That was.
What do you think? Do you prefer an upscale? Let me ask you this. I'll put it this way. Do we think that the best costume is going to be something that is in whole or in part homemade? Or are we going to have something that looks correct? You know what I mean? That looks like, is there a magic in making your own Wolfman costume versus buying a, film realistic mask and wearing the same shredded jeans and shredded white shirt that was in the original movie? You know what I mean? Like that.
Right. I have a soft spot for costumes that look good and not bad. I kind of dig costumes that look good.
Yeah. Somebody put some effort into it.
Yeah. And, like the Wolfman thing, the reason I looked bad was I had no skill in applying these things that you had to glue to my face.
Right.
So someone who is good at that or has, or knows someone who's good at that, like if you can put on an appliance or like a Klingon forehead or whatever and, blend the makeup to look good, I like that. I remember in my 20s going to Jonathan Colton's office Halloween party. We've known each other a long time, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his coworkers was dressed up like Superboy, but during that sort of early 90s era Superboy, where Superboy was wearing sort of round sunglasses, Dwayne Wayne sunglasses.
Yep. The fingerless gloves.
Mm-hmm.
The fingerless gloves and the buckled cropped leather jacket over the and he had everything absolutely right. Like, it looked so good. And I was really impressed, even though I bias towards classically scary costumes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this person put in a lot of work and looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be proud to be Superboy. So I stole it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wore that the next year or the very next party.
No, I said, take that off, and I'm putting it on now. Because what people don't know about me is that Halloween, I turn into a real bully. Right. Hey, Jeremy, Jonathan, decades apart, drag me around.
Yeah.
I don't even want to walk. Hey, Superboy, strip down. I'm getting on. Listen, don't go to the bathroom. We're doing it right here in the living room.
Great. Now that I have your costume and you're naked, I'm going to pretend I'm flying. Drag me around.
Yeah. Lift me up, daddy. Lie down on the ground so I can pretend to fly on the bottoms of your feet. Yeah, woo! Halloween! Spooky day! Spooky night!
You mentioning that outfit, that Superboy outfit, reminds me that my favorite Halloween costume of all time was not mine. But in the fall of 1984, everybody in my class wanted to be a Ghostbuster because that had come out that summer.
Well,
and
you have to remember that busting made them feel good.
It did.
Yeah,
and I thought it would make me feel good. I thought it would fill the hole inside of me, busting ghosts.
That's right.
Busting fills the hole.
Whatever I was dressed up, I hated because it wasn't a Ghostbuster. And the bully in my class, Peter Jerem, his father built him a proton pack and a neutrino wand that lit up and made noise. And we sat in the gym, and part of the assembly was they had a ghost on a wire that flew across the ceiling. And when it flew across the ceiling, what did Peter Jerem do? He did what any Ghostbuster would do. He pulled out his neutrino wand, fired up the proton pack, and attempted to trap it. And I thought, this is great. I hate costumes. I'll never be able to do that. I don't have, my dad did not build that for me.
You had begrudging respect for your own bully.
I was jealous. I was jealous of him.
Sitting there in your Sixers jacket.
Let me tell you, may I make a confession?
Please?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't force that guy to strip out of his Superboy costume. I'm not a bully.
Thank you for being honest.
Controversial take. I hate bullies. I think they're bad.
Yeah. Please save it for the next time we have you on. That's on our topics list.
If it's not fun for everyone, it's no fun at all. That's what I say.
That's right.
And I really hate that you had to be like, that my bully was right this time.
Yeah.
And also that his dad, how would he be mean to you? What would he do?
I don't remember the teasing. It was so long. I mean, we're now talking, 37 years ago? It was just, I was the new kid in class and just was not, that was enough to be.
How do you spell his name again?
Juram.
And first name?
Peter.
All right.
You're going to try and find him?
First of all, he's on my list.
Your bully list.
He's on my list. That's my Halloween costume this year, the bully hunter.
Peter, strip down and drag me around.
I'm the Peter Reaper. Well, here's the thing. I want to find him, and obviously I want to punish him psychologically.
Yes.
Yes. But I also I want to know, you said his dad made this proton pack?
Yeah, it was homemade. It was a homemade, I think it sat on a board, and to a 7-year-old me, it looked flawless. And I thought it was so cool.
If you told me that his dad bought him a realistic proton pack.
Right.
Like the bad dad in Pee-wee's Big Adventure buying everything for Francis, then I would understand why this kid, Peter Jerem, was a jerk.
No, this is homemade.
But if his dad is handy.
Yeah.
And handy and making something for his son, that's a real show of affection. So why did Peter Jerem, what damaged him? Why did he turn into an almost literal monster? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe just a bad apple from a decent tree, but just a terrible apple.
Yeah. Or too young to understand.
Well, when I find him, I'll ask and I'll let you know.
There you go.
I'll get back to you on November 1st.
Thank you.
Here's another sub question for you.
All right.
If you had to pick one adjective, John, I know it seems like I know the direction you would go with this. If you have to pick one adjective for a Halloween costume between these two, clever or spooky?
I have to pick between these two? Is this posed to me?
No. I'm asking you guys. This is posed to the group. Since we're determining the best Halloween costume, do we like a clever costume? Somebody comes in. There's the mask that they invariably always have at that store is a little flower pot that you put on top of your head. So you are a pothead, which is not clever and mass produced. That is a thing. It's one of the ones that you go and you're like, what is that? And they're like, it's a pothead. Get it? Any Halloween costume that can end with get it is I think not great.
Okay. But genuinely clever.
Genuinely clever. Let's go with genuinely clever then.
Yeah. If clever means genuinely clever.
Mm-hmm.
Because all those people who are going out as Squid Game people, they're not clever.
No.
You're going to see all those people are having the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if you get 435 of your friends to all wear the green jumpsuit and be the entire Squid Game contestant pool, and you're trick-or-treating as a group, I think that's pretty clever. I like that.
If you can get the exact number and match them up, if number one is in his late 70s.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that'd be good. That would be nuts. And that wouldn't be scary, right? Because they're the good guys,
Right.
Alternately, if it was like ding dong, you open the door and there's the Darth Vader-y front man from Squid Game with, 50 workers, 50 managers, and 50 soldiers. That's a good costume too. Because that took a lot.
I think the best a clever costume can be is impressive, which is not a bad thing to be. Generally, I think you'll get that's pretty good. But Halloween is also the time for spooky frights. And it's I appreciate a spooky costume more because to me it feels like it's more in the spirit of the holiday, which has become this Victorian celebration of the macabre. Rather than what's your most clever idea that you and either a large group of people or what can you put together? Which is no offense to them. I prefer a spooky costume.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. I think that I'm going to cross out clever. I appreciate clever. Yeah, I really do. But Halloween should be scary. I think Halloween, if we're looking at the quintessential Halloween costume, it should be scary.
Yeah.
But can I just tell you about one clever one? I'm kind of going to mangle this.
Please.
It was Jean Grey, our friend Jean, got Shaquille O'Neal basketball uniform from whatever team he was playing for that.
Mm-hmm.
Then put a trench coat over it, wore a fedora, and a Rorschach mask. And she was Rorschach.
I like Rorschach. That's great.
Clever,
very clever.
Right? And also,
clever.
Rorschach is scary, so I think that's running.
That fits both.
Requirements.
That one could win.
Right.
The greatest Halloween costume of all time.
So here are the adjectives, right? There's clever.
Mm-hmm.
There's scary. There's good, because Superboy is well executed, even though it is neither particularly clever nor scary.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a character, It's just cosplay, right? And Halloween is not about cosplay. For a long time, that was the only way people accessed cosplay.
Yes.
Because they didn't know about what cosplay was and could be.
Right.
So let's just, well executed cosplay, but you're forgetting one of the biggest, probably the biggest selling adjective at Spirit Halloween.
Is it?
Or Party City or whatever.
Is it sexy?
Sexy.
Yeah.
Sexy Mario, sexy Luigi.
Sexy pencil, which exists.
Sexy pencil.
I've seen sexy pencil.
That's for the Halloween party that only some people can attend. You don't bring your kids to the sexy Halloween party. Right?
Oh, whoops.
Sorry to tell you. Sorry we waited this long to let you know. Put your Fisher Price keys in this bowl.
Yeah. One of the
That took me a second. That's horrible.
You're welcome.
The sexy costumes are an abomination. They are neither clever. Yeah. They are scary for sure, but not for the reasons that we're talking about here.
And most of them aren't a sexy costume. They're just a uniform. It's just a profession that they've done a sexy version of. nurse, construction worker, you know what I mean? Or the most ubiquitous of them seem to just be jobs. Yeah, actuary with that sexy briefcase that you have to carry.
Yeah, look at these tapes.
Okay.
I don't see sexy actuary, but there is a sexy accountant costume.
Sure. Similar number crunching profession.
It's just a suit, but then the pants are booty shorts.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And the shirt is perpetually open to the belly
And there
button.
is sexy
There you
CEO as well. Is also.
Sure.
Ooh.
No,
Sure.
I mean, these costumes are for the imagination less. They are all made of cruddy materials for cruddy people, and we can eliminate all of them. But I do have a soft spot in my heart for the knockoff character costumes, such as there's one that really, I can't remember the one that really made me laugh, and there's one that I'm thinking of that I can't say because it's not a franchise I want to ever mention anymore. But a thing like the famous,
like Nocturnal Crusader, and it's a Batman-esque.
Yes, exactly. That's what we're talking about.
Where they can't, they don't have the licensing, so they just made the costume.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Amazon Princess Fighter.
Yeah. Scientist Adventurer.
Boy version of Powerful Man. That's
with Dwayne Wayne sunglasses.
We're eliminating them from contention because they are cheap knockoffs. They're bad. But I do have a soft spot. Whenever my son and I go every year to Abracadabra, which is the big Halloween superstore in the Flatiron District of New York, and I always just laugh at all those different ones.
Ken just put into the chat a great one, which is a black and white pinstripe suit of the character Juice Demon.
Beetlejuice. Wow.
The picture
Juice
of
Demon.
the guy on the front looks like
It looks like Diedrich Bader.
He looks like Diedrich Bader, who's upset he's not dressed as Beetlejuice, but as the Juice Demon.
Somebody stop me. All right.
Why don't we take a quick ad break? And when we come back, we will continue with John Hodgman narrowing down our choices and our adjectives. It seems like adjectives are becoming the way that we're crafting this perfect Halloween costume. So we will take a quick break, let you know about some of the other fantastic shows on the Maximum Fun Network, and we will be right back.
Juice Demon, Juice Demon, Juice Demon.
It's Juice Demon.
Well, hello, I'm Renee Colvert.
Hi, I'm Alexis Preston, and we are the hosts of Can I Pet Your Dog?
And we got breaking news, we got an expose, and all the beans have been spilled via an Apple Podcast review that said, this show isn't well researched. Well, yeah, no duh. Of course it's not. Not since the day we started has it been well researched. Guessing and anthropomorphizing dogs is what we do.
The Can I Pet Your Dog promise is that we will never do more than 10 seconds of research before telling you excitedly about any dog we see.
I'm going to come at you with top 10 enthusiasm, minimal facts.
We're here for a good time, not an educated time.
So if you love dogs and you don't love research, well, you know what? Come on in to Can I Pet Your Dog podcast every Tuesday on Maximum Fun Network.
I'm Judge John Hodgman.
And I'm Bailiff Jesse Thorne.
10 years ago, I came on Jordan Jesse Go and judged my first dispute. Is chili a soup? It's a stew, obviously.
The judge has dispensed a decade of justice. He's the one person wise enough to answer the really important questions. Like, should you hire a mime to perform at your own funeral?
After they cry, I want them to laugh.
Do you really need a tank full of jellyfish in your den?
They smell like living creatures decaying.
Only if they are decaying.
Yeah, which they will be.
Real people, real justice, real comedy.
Winner of the Webby Award for Best Comedy Podcast.
The Judge John Hodgman Podcast, every Wednesday on MaximumFun.org. So during the break, what you missed was producer Ken Plume sending us some costumes. Beyond Juice Demon, we had Evil Midweek Cutie, which is Wednesday Addams, right? This is not a joke. This is I thought he was joking. Now I'm looking at the picture now, and it's not a joke. That's wild. Also sent another photo of our friend Jean Grey and another one of Jean Grey's incredible costumes.
Yeah,
as the movie producer at the beginning of The Godfather, who wakes up with a horse head in his bed.
Yes.
Yeah. A vertical version of that moment.
It's so good.
A bird's eye view of it.
A walk around. So here are the adjectives as I put them together.
Yeah.
We got sexy, we got shoddy, we got scary, we got smarty. These are weird dwarves. Sounds like a weird version of the Seven Dwarfs. How do we do cosplay in this mode?
Meaning the verisimilitude of the costume itself, or like...
Yeah, but verisimilitude isn't really good.
Right. Are we talking about, you want a binary choice of... Accuracy or...
No, I'm looking for the adjective, but I would like it to be like, sound like one of the Spice Girls. Sexy, shoddy, scary, smarty.
Okay. Specific-y.
Truthy?
No, it's gotta be an S-E one. Well, although you did have Doc in the Seven Dwarfs.
There you go.
We'll just call it Doc. We'll call
that one Doc.
Right. Oh, I changed in my mind. It's, you know what it is?
Did you just say that as Mario? I changed in my mind.
Hey, I changed in my mind. It's a sexy Mario.
Woohoo!
I mean,
what did you change your mind
in
about?
honor of one of the greatest assemblers of costumes that are perfectly assembled, perfectly executed, and often a point-by-point replica of something that appeared in a movie or whatever. Adam Savage. It's Savagey. Savagey is that costume.
Savagey. That's what we'll call that one.
Right.
Yes.
Or Doc Savagey. We can combine them. Doc Savage.
Ooh, look at that.
A man of bronze. Don't do Doc Savage, everybody. It's a problematic fave. So actually, it's not anyone's fave. No one will know who it is. And it's a dumb character.
And it's better that way. Let him be lost.
Is there anything that is not encompassed by sexy, shoddy, because that's the knockoffs, scary, smarty, which are super clevers, and savagey? Is there any other?
I mean,
I want to talk about, this one also begins with an S, or one of the two choices of this begins with an S, and that would be solo. A solo costume versus a group costume. What do you guys think about the group costume?
I mean,
hold on a second. Now I got to see what the hell Courageous Maria is.
Courageous Maria.
Oh my
sexy,
God.
Sexy
Mario.
female presenting Mario.
Yes.
Courageous Maria. By the way, Mario's got to be upset by that too. Like, hey, I'm courageous, but nobody calls me Courageous
I'm not
Mario.
Desirable as I am.
Right.
Yeah.
And in Courageous Maria costume, the mustache is on a necklace. All right.
That's a detail.
I'm going to say group costumes automatically go under Smarty.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you're usually executing a design. And you're trying to impress, like what I was saying, like all the Squid Games or,
I'll tell you, I'm going to give a shout out to the best Halloween costume person I know in Los Angeles for group costumes. He does them as a duo with two buddies. It's, Ian and, Andrew Goldenberg, who have in the past gone as such things as Mola Ram and the dude in the cage, which is what you would have played, John, because he got wheeled around all night as the dude in the cage.
Sure.
For those who don't know, from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Right.
Another one was they went as
the problematic non-fave.
Right. Quint in the boat. This time it was Ian's turn to get pulled around.
Right.
And the shark, Bruce.
Right. Bruce the shark.
From Jaws, which was another cool.
That's all smart.
These are more like parade floats, though. Yeah. They're oversized costumes.
And I like Smarty. I like Smarty costumes. I like,
Yeah, me too.
There's one more that I'll add, which is store-bought.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a big rubber mask would be store-bought. Like you're just putting on whatever that character is, and that's it. And you're just walking around with that mask.
Sure. You're C-3PO wearing a C-3PO t-shirt.
Same deal. I could never wear, as much as I love those full head rubber masks, I could never wear them after I was 19 because I have glasses and I don't wear contacts.
Oh, yeah.
But then a couple of years ago, I tried to go with a low-key look where I got zombie contacts and I put them in my eyes, which I'd never done the first time in my life. And I might do that.
How'd that feel?
It was weird and I couldn't see real good. But, my regret was that I just went with that sort of zombie cloudy eye that they do in contemporary zombie franchises. And I think it was too subtle an effect. And I would go, I'm playing with the idea of just doing like crazy cat eyes or something this year. But I would call that store-body too. That's just like an effect that you're not modifying. There's no artistry to it. You're just putting it on. It's better than shoddy.
Right.
Because it's expensive and so on. But
I think we do need some artistry.
Yeah. So a store-body version of Dracula might be the Ben Cooper, whereas the shoddy is the mouth fangs, but then like a homemade cape. I guess that's all store-bought too. There's really no...
Yeah.
Dracula's one where you have to I slick back my hair and put a suit on.
By store-body, I think that shoddy and sexy are all store-bought, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's that like legal pad sized plastic bag that has the thin material costume inside, much like these ones that Ken is sending us of Midweek Kid and Juice Demon. And yeah, these are all in a bag with a model on the front who does not look like they're happy to be in that costume.
As someone who goes to Abracadabra, I know that there's some very upscale store-bought stuff that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Really scary masks, really, really intense prosthetics and so forth. Or let me just put it like contact lenses do not a costume make.
Right.
There has to be imagination involved. That's why I'm staying within Smarty and Scary as the top two.
Yeah. If your costume, I think, comes in one package as a kit, I don't think that's enough artistry for it to win the best costume.
Right. But if you're putting together different elements to
if you are crafting
unique or transformative, yes.
Yeah. Realistic fangs, a medallion that look, a metal medallion with the gem in the middle, a good velvet kit. You're putting together this
that's like
high quality Dracula.
Vampire costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you would actually get, stuff from Romania.
Yeah.
Right.
This actually came from Vlad's castle.
Right.
This very medallion. Can I do a quick sidebar and tell you the two best costumes I have personally ever seen?
Please do.
And they were the one year when I lived in a duplex house. So I was able to, we didn't go out that year. We decided we were going to be the couple that stayed home and welcomed trick-or-treaters.
Sure.
Which I've only done once in my life. And it was so fun. We sat outside. We had lawn chairs and a great big bowl of candy. And the two best costumes I've ever seen happened that night. One of them was a little kid, maybe 5 years old. I'm going to guess whose family worked in Hollywood as either costume designers or special effects technicians, because he was an absolutely perfect on set ready Jason.
Wow.
From like the later Jason movies where he's all bulky but it was just a tiny 5-year-old kid version. But it looked straight out of the movie. It was just teeny tiny.
That takes skill. That's savagery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well executed, savagery, scary.
Yeah.
And also smarty, because there's a transformative element where it's not just, I'm Jason. But
yeah, I'm tiny Jason.
Tiny little Jason.
Yeah.
It's very funny and scary.
I was just going to toss one out there. I know it's been done a million times, I'm sure, because I thought of it. It must have happened already a million times. Jason's mother. Scary.
Oh, sure.
Smarty, I think.
The original killer.
What? I haven't watching it yet.
Sorry. R.I.P. Betsy Palmer. Well, gone but not forgotten.
The other one that I saw that I loved was a kid who obviously put together this concept wearing that classic Stegosaurus little kid, puffy, like the belly is a different color than the back. Almost looks like Dino. Full body costume where the face is the only thing that's cut out. Like a cutesy little kid dinosaur costume. But he was carrying a katana. I asked the kid, I was like, oh, who are you? And he looked at me like I was the biggest idiot in the world. And he went, I'm a dinosaur with a sword. Like, of course, you dummy. Clearly, I am a dinosaur with a sword. So those are my two favorite Halloween costumes I have ever seen, and they happened on the same night.
Dinosaur with a sword is smarty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
I guess dinosaurs are scary. Yes.
The concept of, it wasn't a terribly scary dinosaur, but the concept of a dinosaur with a sword is somewhat scary.
Years in a different life, when I used to write for magazines, I was profiling Ron Moore, the co-creator of the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. And a really incredible imaginative guy, both of he and David Icke, who co-created it with him. Ron is a very amazing imagination. And this doesn't have anything to do with Halloween costumes, but this made me think of it. He was like, when I was a teenager, I was writing a series of stories featuring a world in which it's World War II, but dinosaurs still exist and they're used as weapons. And in my profile,
that's pretty awesome.
I know, I described it. And in my profile, I wrote, fully expecting them to cut it out. Like, Ron Moore decided not to pursue this franchise because he apparently does not want all the money in the world. And or something to that effect. And to their credit, the New York Times Magazine's like, no, I'm gonna leave that in. That's a good idea.
Yeah, they're not wrong.
A dinosaur with a sword. A dino sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I didn't notice it. I guess I didn't know. And he thought I was an idiot for not knowing it immediately.
Well, here's the thing with this podcast, because as everyone knows, I'm trying to come to some objective answer for a very subjective question.
Mm-hmm.
So as we narrow this down, are we going to describe literally the best Halloween costume that has ever existed to date? Or the quintessential costume that fits the criteria that we think is important?
I think the latter.
I think so too. We're trying to give people a guide. Yes. We're guiding people who are not sure what they should wear for Halloween. Well, here's the best costume.
Yeah, but the problem is if everyone wears that same thing.
If 435 people wear that thing.
I'll wear my different thing, and then I will have the most clever Halloween costume of all.
Ooh.
All right.
That's been the plan all along.
Because so Mark has given two, and this is subjective. Mark has given two examples of the best Halloween costumes he's ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Dinosaur with a sword, and what was the other one?
Tiny Jason.
Tiny Jason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hal, do you have two or more of the best you've ever seen? The ones that just stay with you that someone else was wearing aside from Peter Duran?
I will say that my favorite Halloween costume that I've seen numerous times is just a person. It's like the Charlie Brown, the typical, I am dressing as a ghost. And the reason why being it is classic, it predates the current sort of Halloween costume craze that started about 100 or 90 years ago.
Right.
And everybody knows what it is, and anybody can do it. It is instantly accessible, although your parents will get mad at you if you don't ask permission first.
Talking about a sheet?
A sheet?
With two holes in it, if you have
two holes. Yeah, and you just go around and go, ooh, and it's a ghost. It's nothing fancy, but it feels, if I didn't see one, or if that wasn't part of sort of the Halloween experience, it would feel like something was missing that wouldn't feel like it was missing if I didn't see a lot of other great
I don't think I've ever
costumes.
seen one in real life, and honestly, Hal, I believe you've never seen one in real life either. No one wears that, ever.
I wish they would, though.
I know. I know. That wasn't the question I asked, though. The best costume you've ever seen was Peter Dram, your tormentor,
yes.
as a Ghostbuster.
You had to amend it so that guy wouldn't win anything. But look, he's not going to win this year when you find him.
That is the best one. I will say I appreciate my favorite thing about a very involved, intricate costume with makeup is when that person has to make an out of character phone call to someone while fully dressed. So like you have Freddy Krueger saying, yes, honey, I'll be there. I will pick up ice. No problem. Yep. I'll see you in a little bit. Great. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go to the ballet on Tuesday. And then he's to turn around.
Do you guys stay in costume? I mean, not in costume. Do you guys stay in character on Halloween? Do you stay in character on Halloween in the character of who you are playing?
No. I'm trying to be a grown up here. Come on.
I never do.
I know you.
Okay, I was just checking. I never do. Right?
I know that
totally
you still
never
are
do.
a 9-year-old with a costume trunk at the foot of your bed. You're always putting on a show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I already gave you some of the best that I've ever. Like when I think of the best.
Yeah.
Jean Grey as Rorschach. That one of Jean Grey as the Godfather, the character with the horse in the bed. As Superboy, also one that has left an impression.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are smarty and savagey in their execution, and none of them, except for Rorschach, maybe is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll just add 3 quick ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Marceline the Vampire Queen, one of the employees at Abracadabra, was a young woman who dressed up like Marceline the Vampire Queen from Adventure Time.
Mm-hmm.
It was savagey in its execution, incredible body paint, smarty in that it is Adventure Time, was one of the smartest shows of all time, and scary because it was real life. It was a scary vampire like that. That's all 3. And then the other 2, the best ones, of course, the Philadelphia Pretzel. and this was part of a group costume, the PC. The PC.
Oh, the piece. That was half of a group costume.
That was half of a very popular group costume in 2006 and 7. And I thought my life could not get weirder. But I have been a Halloween costume.
John Hodgman Halloween costume.
And you know, it was very exciting to see.
Yeah.
And to appreciate. I think I may have taken it a little too far because I thought, well, there's money to be made here. I'm still sitting on about 200 pallets of the costume that I had commissioned which is sexy John Hodgman.
Yeah.
Those did not sell very well.
Remind me again, the knockoff version that they sold in stores of the PC guy. What was that? What was the knockoff John Hodgman name?
Oh, that probably would have been a nerdy computer fella.
There you go. The incorrect choice in computer fella.
And cool computer guy, because not even the knockoffs could understand we weren't people. We were representations of machine. Oh, never mind. I was like, I can't, Mike, the PC can't wear the gag can't be that the PC turns around in a hospital gown and you see his butt. Because he's not a human. He's a machine. That's not the gag. And they're like, well, Steve Jobs really wants that gag in. I'm like, okay, then fine. Absolutely. My butt.
Then here's my butt.
Here's my butt.
All right. What are we looking at as our final adjectives?
I have one more. I have one more that I have seen many versions of. And I have one version that's my favorite, which is the person who has been captured by either an alien. My favorite version is the zookeeper who's in the cage being carried by the gorilla. So the gorilla's legs are and then their torso is in the cage with little floppy legs, so it looks like their full body, and then the gorilla's walking behind them. And I choose that version because I love gorillas so very much. To the very bottom.
I love that costume.
Ken Plume just dropped in the chat 2 very young people dressed as the PC and as the Mac. Are these your nephews, Ken? Are you to blame? No, he says no. All right. He's just sending me pictures of children. That's weird. Please don't do that.
What are our final criteria? What adjectives are we looking at?
Add one more adjective and then immediately strike it out.
Okay.
Steampunky. No more. No more.
I love steampunk.
Get thee back to 2002. Done. No more.
Fine.
You can do it, but it'll never be best. It will never be best.
That's true.
So, to paraphrase our former first lady, it'll never be best. And you know what, Hal? I'm gonna shoot you down as the guest on your podcast.
Please.
And say those costumes where it's a guy in a cage being carried by a gorilla or whatever.
Yeah.
Store body.
Very store body. Oh, for
it's
sure.
One. No imagination. Especially the inflatable version.
Yeah, I recognize they're not the best. I just wanted to talk about them.
Striking out store body can never be the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sexy can never be the best. I mean, it can be sexy, but if it says it's sexy, then it's not sexy. That's true about anything sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A shoddy can never be the best.
Yeah.
So scary, smarty, savagey, those are 3 different circles in a Venn diagram. That to me, the best Halloween costume will be in that
little triangle in the middle. Yeah.
Those. But we could eliminate savagey because it's not really within everybody's means. And
that's true. Accessibility, there's something great behind the idea of everybody being able to execute a good costume. So yeah, maybe the 2 big criteria then are scary and smarty.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be versus. Can we, if we find something where those Venn diagrams cross?
I'm going to say smarty can never win on its own.
Correct.
No.
Smarty and scary can work.
Mm-hmm.
Scary can work. But smarty as a solo category is a no for me.
Yeah.
I think now, do we have specific costumes that we can think of that fit into that crossover?
Well, now we're talking about the quintessential scary costumes are
the Universal Monsters.
The Universal Monsters,
right? The more current, the 80 monsters of the 80s, Freddy and Jason, Pinhead.
Right. Yeah. And then the even more current monsters like Slender Man.
Yes.
And if I may, Rorschach.
Mm-hmm.
Rorschach. Yeah.
Scary.
Jigsaw.
They're Jigsaw, right? Danny Glover in Saw. That's too smarty.
Very Freddy.
Not scary.
Yeah.
Danny Glover in Predator 2. Also scary.
There you go.
That yellow shirt was frightening.
For me, the best is always going to be somewhere in the smarty scary area, but if it's just scary, here's how I propose we come to this. If we can come to a consensus on the most quintessential scary costume, then we're done and we can stop. But if then we can riff, how do we do a smarty version on it? In other words, Jason is scary, but Lil Jason is smart scary and somehow a little better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right. So what is the quintessential scary costume? I will put forth a candidate.
All right, please.
Count Dracula.
Count. Basically, we're talking about the serial monsters here.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Count Dracula. All right. And not just a vampire, a Dracula specifically.
Well, since we were talking about the quintessentialness of the Universal monsters is why I mentioned the Count Dracula specifically, like the Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Well, if we just work through the Universal monsters, it can never be the Mummy that's dumb. The Mummy's dumb.
Yeah. Toilet paper.
Yeah.
Ghost, Boo Berry. There's no ghost, but if we do Boo Berry, Boo Berry is smarty, not scary.
Are you confusing Universal and General Mills?
Yeah, I am. That's all.
That's fair.
It's all grist for the General Mills. Mummy.
Fruit Brute is the werewolf.
Fruit Brute is the werewolf. All right, so here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Dracula versus Wolfman, which is better for Halloween?
I think for accessibility, Dracula. Because sometimes if you don't know what you're doing in making a Wolfman costume, you're going to wind up with orange cotton balls all over your face.
This is true.
And a traumatic experience.
No one knows better that than me. But setting aside accessibility, which is the best costume, Hal?
I think a Wolfman's scarier than... I think we're all comfortable with Dracula as like a...
Mm-hmm.
He's more just the Continental at this point.
Well, that is the original. That is the original sexy costume. You don't even need to say sexy Dracula because Dracula is sexy.
Yeah.
But also, there's an additional sexiness to years ago you remember we had Bill Corbett on, and I remember his angle on the Wolfman was that the Wolfman represented sex appeal. So we have a sexy costume, maybe not the costume itself, but the concept of the Wolfman, sort of a sneak attack, like a sexy costume. We eliminated sexy by itself, but the sneak attack sexy, the Wolfman could be in there. I'm fully fine with the Wolfman being the scary quintessential costume.
Or a wolf person.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's turning into a werewolf, you have the added feature of they're frightened of themselves. Very few people embrace the inner werewolf, unless you're in the Teen Wolf universe, where you just sort of settle into it and then go surfing on a van. But by and large, people, they chain themselves up and want to be restrained because lest this horrible monster get loose. And there's something frightening about a giant feral dog that is also a person in your house drinking out of your punch bowl.
Yeah, that's true. I was once in a room with Harvey Weinstein, so I know that's true.
Yeah. There's a chill that comes over you.
There's a monster.
Scary. And that was before I had I just knew he was a business thug. I didn't know, this was well before all of that stuff came out. It was scary. Yeah.
Some people just, you can tell they're bad
I would prefer
people.
a Bengal tiger in this room, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Wait a minute. There are two big ones we got to grapple with here in this universe.
Sure. Frankenstein's
monster and your creature from the Black Lagoon. Anyone else I'm missing?
Bride of Frankenstein?
Bride of Frankenstein is a brilliant one. Oh, if you have not seen what Universal is doing right now for Halloween Horror Nights, they've created one of their mazes, which they do these haunted mazes, usually based on properties. One of them that they've invented specifically that it is not any property was they got some cool comic book artist to paint a new version of the Bride of Frankenstein, who in this new story is now the scientist bringing back the recently torched and pitchforked Frankenstein's monster. So it's sexy version of the mad scientist costume, but with the tall hair with the white streak in it. That is a cool character, and I'm a big fan of that one.
That's a cool character. I like that. That's smarty, sexy, and scary. Ken Plume's in the chat saying mummy costume. I already eliminated the mummy. The mummy's dumb.
Yeah. There is one Universal monster that we are missing that could be a very clever costume if executed well.
The one that I would dress as, which is the Invisible Man and not
the Invisible Man.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, setting aside those, I think for me there's a clear answer in the Universal monster category, the classic movie monster. More contemporary movie or cultural monsters. I'm not talking about people, but mythos.
Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers.
Legends. Yeah, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers.
Pinhead.
I don't know that any.
The Xenomorph?
The Xenomorph. Okay.
Ooh, that's a tough one to execute.
Yeah,
very frightening.
I don't have a lot of truck with Mark's accessibility issue there. Or I don't have a lot of truck with Mark's accessibility argument. Xenomorph is impossible to pull off unless you're Adam Savage. I think.
Yes.
He could do it.
But just frightening. I was thinking of what would inspire, if I walked in and I saw two things. One would be if I walked in and saw a Xenomorph, I'd be frightened. And if I saw Michael Anderson, the actor who played the man from another place in Twin Peaks in real life, I would be frightened. If I ran into him at a grocery store, I would run in absolute terror because that show scared me so much when I was younger. That's not a costume. Peaks. That's a person. Yes, from Twin Peaks.
Oh, we just got another one over the.
I think this is going to be a Cookie Monster.
We got one coming in.
Oh, no.
It is a Cookie Monster. It's Sexy Cookie Monster. Sexy Cookie Monster knockoff. This is maybe the worst costume because it's all the stuff we said was not going to win. It's sexy, shoddy.
This is if Cookie Monster were the bear in The Revenant. Is what it looks like to me.
Oh, it's a purple thing too to avoid a lawsuit. And in this case, it's not sexy. It's quote unquote sexy. It's shoddy. It's store bought.
Yeah.
It's
Biscuit Beast.
It's scary. I'll give it this. It's scary.
It is.
Yeah, right.
It's chilling to the core. I would say Jason is probably of the modern. There's something scary about a relentless because he cannot kill him. And it's also, while I know the accessibility isn't important, it is something anybody can put together that is instantly recognizable. So you can wear a number of different outfits that he has worn over the years. You can even put a paper bag over your head and be him in Friday the 13th Part 2. So there's something to Jason Voorhees, I think, out of all of them that is very recognizable and also scary.
What about the devil? We didn't talk about the devil.
Just a straight up old school devil costume.
Or it can be a movie monster devil. It could be Damien from the Omen movies.
Yeah.
You know, there's a category which we didn't do, which is subtly.
Oh, yeah.
Costumes. Like Jason's mom would be, only some people would get it. If I dressed up like Roman Castevet from Rosemary's Baby, I'd enjoy that a lot. But,
sure. Is that subtlety or is that
obscurity?
Obscurity.
Not well. Ask me where I've been. Name a place. I've been there. Have you had a vodka blush before? Scary. I think it's very scary.
What if you dressed as the devil, but it's the version from Oh God, You Devil, where it's George Burns in the red suit?
You're just George Burns.
That's subtly and smarty.
Yes.
Pretty great.
And I would shut the door in your face if you showed up trick-or-treating as that. I'd love it, but you deserve to be destroyed.
That'd be the right move.
The devil is a fun one because the devil really can be anything. It can be as simple as black suit with a red shirt and little horns. You know what I mean? Like the devil can be, there's so many different variations on the devil. You know, it's interesting. The devil is one that if we are looking at this as the best costume that you can pick and choose any of those adjectives that you want to use.
Right.
Then the devil is a great choice for that.
Here's where I'm coming down to this because a three-way tie that we're going to now decide on. A four-way. Here we go. It's going to be the devil. It's going to be a ghost. It's going to be a vampire. It's going to be a wolfman.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I'm going to get rid of wolfman for the same reason that I'm eliminating Jason, Freddy, The Shape, which is Michael Myers' real name. Any of those, because guess what? They all present as men. Wolfman is a man. There are no wolf ladies. There's the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That's a very specific character. But you could be of any gender identity and be a vampire or a devil or a, devil/demon or a ghost. So that is accessibility in the truest sense.
Absolutely.
Everyone should enjoy Halloween, no matter what their pronouns are. And it is a chance to explore different ways of presenting yourself. That's a big part of Halloween.
Yeah.
So simply aping an existing character perfectly, particularly if it's just a dude. I mean, I don't know. Sexy Freddy might actually be cool. But anyway.
By the way, at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, they used to have cage go-go dancers at the front of the park when you would walk in. And one year, the cage go-go dancers were Sexy Freddys.
Oh. All right, so we can eliminate that because that's gross.
We can eliminate Sexy Freddy. Derivative.
Ghost, devil, vampire. I'm not rushing through this just because I have to go make dinner.
No.
Yeah.
I know which is the best of those three. I know which is the best. I've determined for myself.
We haven't really talked about Ghost aside from sheet over your head Ghost.
Baby powder.
I feel like there are a million different versions of, you can just wear any period costume.
Yes.
And dress it in a way that is a ghost version of it, which I think is kind of great. I love that idea. It's like the end of the Haunted Mansion. You've got a Viking, you've got a pirate, you've got a Victorian lady, but all of them are the ghost version.
Well, you know what I
is
always
it too
say?
broad
you know
a topic,
I always
though?
say? Everybody dies. So
you do always say that.
I always say that. Everybody
Famously.
dies at the end.
Is it too broad? Is ghost too broad?
Isn't that what's great about it? that it can be broad, that it can be interpreted however you want. You could be the ghost of a person, and that's more direct, scary. You can be smarty and be the ghost of a concept. You can be,
like I'm going this year in a baby powdered tweed jacket as the ghost of a PC.
Exactly.
That's how I go every day, man. Hal, I just changed my mind because I thought I had it, and now I am coming around to a sheet with 2 holes in it, a ghost.
Yeah.
Wait, come on.
Well, no, not that specific execution.
Right.
But that is a valid execution. That is classic. Mm-hmm. It is scary, as we know from the movie Halloween. Mm-hmm. You could do Smarty and put glasses over it and become that ghost from Halloween. That'd be a scary thing to see.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the concern of making it so interpretable in so many different ways. It's no longer a single costume.
Yeah.
But that's what I liked about my initial choice, which was vampire.
Right.
Because vampire is classic. It's scary. It's definitely sexy. There have been a million different visual interpretations in film and literature of what vampires look like. Obviously, they can present in any bodily form. It's, anyone can be a vampiric form, but I like ghost better.
Yeah.
Look, the song is Many Spirits, Many Frights. I'm not just talking about gin when I sing Many Spirits. I'm talking about ghosts. Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Bad ghosts.
They could be friendly ghosts.
That is true.
My theory is that if ghosts exist, they're actually time travelers from the future who got the wrong wardrobe. They're like, oh, we're going to the 21st century. Or like, it doesn't work quite as well. But it's like, oh, we're going to the 20th century. We should wear cowboy outfits here. And then they show up in 1967 or whatever. It's like, it doesn't work.
The year is 1943. Everybody have your suits of armor? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. The ancient past.
Yeah.
I like a ghost. Because the other thing about vampire, though, and here's the thing.
What?
It's cliche. It's cliche at this point.
I mean,
it's a cliche.
But is it a cliche or is it a distillation?
You have to work hard to make a vampire interesting as a costume because it's been done so many times, so many different ways. And like we've gone through, we didn't even talk about zombie. Cliche. At this point, it's cliche. I was just thinking,
also cliche.
Zombie's the opposite of a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. We went through a huge vampire part of culture in the 90s and the 2000s. We've been going through a zombie mode for the past 20 years as well. It's been done a million different ways, a million different times. It's very hard to find an interesting take. Whereas I think Ghost is undeniably a classic. And there's as you both, Mark, and you, Hal, pointed out, there's so much room for interpretation. And there's so many different ways to do it that I think would be genuinely horrifying.
Yeah. And some that would be genuinely smarty.
And some that would be, well, look, I'm not afraid of no ghosts. I don't know why I said that. Yeah. I was going to say there are some that can be genuinely sexy, but then it just immediately flashed back to the most stupidest scene in Ghostbusters that they should have cut.
Of course. Where they were like, we need to add another 90 seconds to the film.
Right.
Can we use that weird take?
I'll say this about Ghost as well. In its favor, Ghost is the nemesis costume to Hal's bully.
Good point.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Oh,
if for no other reason than this guy picked on our friend.
Oh, we just slimed Peter Duran.
Yeah, we did.
I think that's it for me. My vote is in. I'll never change my mind.
Yeah, that's right. I'm set.
I might be a ghost this year for Halloween. The first time I've dressed up for Halloween in forevs. I've got the beard of a drowned ship's captain.
Just get an all gray ship's captain outfit.
What do you mean get? Do you think I don't have one?
Fair enough. All right, Hal, bring us home.
People of the world, look, it's a ghost. What does that mean? It can mean whatever you want it to mean. That's the great thing about this costume. It is broad, can be interpreted and executed in a million ways.
But
yes,
everyone will know that it's a ghost the minute they see it.
Yes, instantly recognizable. Yeah, that is why, for these myriad reasons, the Ghost has won as the best Halloween costume ever. Of all time, past, present, and future. So ghosts who are coming back to visit us.
It's like cowboys in the 40.
Come as you are. It's fine. We love you. You're ghosts. Asked and answered.
Oh, they're vengeful ghosts?
Yeah, sure.
Ghosts.
Of course they are.
Ghosts, guys.
Ghosts.
Take that, Peter. This topic is closed. John Hodgman, thank you for coming on the show again.
Thank you.
It is always a treat, friend.
Yes.
I love talking to you guys very much.
You are,
I trust.
You are a wonderful guest. You are our official stairwell correspondent from that one episode with Cole.
Guest.
A great guest. But more than that, you are a dear friend, and it is the real joy is to get to sit and talk with you.
I consider you to be a close acquaintance.
I'll take it.
You're welcome.
Great. This topic is closed. There are many more topics to discuss, so please reach out to us on Twitter at WeGotThisTweets or
email us at WeGotThisPodcast@gmail.com or come to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/WeGotThisPodcast. And hey, share some of your favorite Halloween costumes with us. If you have pictures, great. We'd love to see them.
Or go to bit.ly/Dicktown. That's bit.ly/DICKTOWN and go to the episode called The Mystery of the Moaning Ghost.
Yes.
It features a classic sheet ghost in it.
See? In fact, do that. Do that before you do anything else.
Yeah.
Go watch that. And all episodes of Dicktown.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's only 10 of them. They're all 11 minutes long. You can do it, everybody.
Yes.
Do it.
We have faith in you.
That is a brief amount of time to enjoy something that you will want much more of.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Now you sound like a ghost.
Now I sound like Orson Welles introducing The Shadow. That's a bad costume. Almost as bad as Doc Savage.
Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world, for giving us the opportunity to sit down with our dear friend, dear acquaintance, John Hodgman, and talk about something that obviously we all care about and love. And we would take you trick-or-treating with us right now. If you ring our doorbell, we will give you all of our candy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
I have them here too. Got it. Woo, ghosts.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.